The Survivor, the forbidden truth of the 1949 alien crash, a whispered confession meant never to be heard. They told the world it was weather balloons. They lied, because in 1949 something alive fell from the sky, and it didn't die on impact. They called him Eba, the being who didn't supposed to exist. He spoke without words. He drew our past and our future. And what he revealed terrified even the men who built the atomic bomb. For 3 years, he lived among us. Then he vanished. And the projects born from him, Project Aquarius, Sigma, Snowbird, would ignite a secret war for the control of reality itself. They tried to bury the story, but the dead don't stay buried when they're not from Earth. Today, we dive into the forbidden confession of the only alien survivor ever held by the US government, and the horrifying truth that still hums beneath our deserts. Part 1. The night the sky broke open. December 1949. The desert sky over New Mexico split apart. Silent lightning frozen in midair. A craft spiraled down, molten edges glowing white-hot. But it never exploded. It landed. Inside, soldiers found no crew, only one figure. Small, thin, still breathing. His eyes, enormous and liquid blue. His skin pale like moonlight through water. When he blinked, light flickered from his veins. He didn't fight. He just watched them and smiled as if he'd been waiting. They called him Eba, short for Extraterrestrial Biological Entity Alpha. But the scientists had another name, the Visitor. They took him to a base near Los Alamos, where we'd already split the atom. Now, we'd split the truth. Part 2. The creature that spoke in symbols. For weeks, Eba refused to speak. Instead, he drew circles within circles, spirals of strange geometry. Then one linguist realized these weren't drawings, they were maps of human consciousness. He wasn't just communicating, he was reading them. When they brought him minerals, metals, even plants, he reacted to none of it. But when they brought him a mirror, he trembled. He pressed his hand to the glass and whispered his first word, before. That one word changed everything. Through images and frequency pulses, Eba began teaching, not in sentences, but visions, the rise of stars, the folding of light, the creation of worlds. He said his people came from Zeta Reticuli, 40 light-years away, but they didn't travel through space. They moved around it, slipping between mirrors of time. And then came the message that froze the room. You are not the first. Part 3. Project Aquarius is born. The government panicked. Every note, every photograph, sealed under a new code name, MJ-12. The sub-project, Aquarius. Their goal? Decode Eba's mind and harness his craft, the one they found still pulsing underground. They called its engine the core. It didn't burn fuel. It folded gravity, swallowing space like a ripple in water. But something about it terrified Eba. When they powered it, his vitals spiked, and he screamed in frequencies no human could hear. He drew again, the same spiral symbol. Later, scientists realized it matched the modern radiation hazard icon. He wasn't just afraid, he was warning them. Part 4. the knowledge we stole. The United States extracted impossible technology from that ship, a language of circuits and light. And then history jumped. Within 10 years, fiber optics, integrated circuits, night vision, stealth coatings, all suddenly discovered. You think that's coincidence? It wasn't. Those who've seen the Project Aquarius briefing know these weren't inventions, they were translations. From Ebba's ship came Project Gleam, attempts to reach his home world. Then Project Sigma, contact protocols. Then Project Snowbird, human-piloted test flights in the Nevada desert. Every leap we've made since 1950 traces back to one thing: a dying alien whispering equations to men who couldn't comprehend what they were playing with. Part 5. The Dying God. By 1952, Ebba's body was failing. He couldn't breathe our air. He couldn't bear our gravity, but he never begged to go home. He kept repeating one phrase over and over until his voice faded into static. Do not wake the others. When asked who the others were, he looked at the ceiling as if listening to something no one else could hear. He smiled and said nothing. The night he died, all the lights in Los Alamos flickered out for 7 minutes. When power returned, the cameras in his room showed only static, except for one frame. In it, Ebba's reflection stood upright, eyes open, and behind him, a second figure, tall, luminous, staring directly into the lens. Seconds later, his body was gone, his containment vault empty. All that remained was a faint smell of ozone and melted glass. Part 6. The programs that never ended. The Air Force announced Project Blue Book to calm the public. 12,000 UFO reports. They labeled 90% hoaxes or weather phenomena. But the other 10%, those went straight to Aquarius. Eisenhower, furious at the deception, ordered Project Gleam to separate truth from noise, and in 1964, it happened. First contact. 2 beings met a U.S. intelligence officer in a New Mexico desert. They spoke in Ebba's symbols. The meeting lasted exactly 3 hours. When they left, they gave the officer a sphere, a humming metal orb etched with rings of light. That object became the blueprint for our most classified propulsion research. We didn't just meet aliens that day, we made a deal. Part 7. The Forbidden Volume. Decades later, fragments of Project Aquarius Volume 9 leaked. It claimed alien visitation began 5,000 years ago, but a Defense Intelligence insider corrected that. Not 5,000, 270 million. 3 species, 3 agendas. 1. The Ebans, peaceful scientists, architects of DNA. 2. The insectoids, hive-minded colonizers. 3. The unnamed, the ones even the Ebans feared. Ebba's last words, "Do not wake the others," weren't metaphor. They were prophecy.
Part 8. The Machine That Still Breathes. In 1958, another craft was found in the Utah desert. Pristine, abandoned. Inside, 3 metallic spheres, one still active. It pulsed every 108 minutes with a frequency that no human instrument could stop. They buried it under Dugway Proving Grounds. The project codename, Snowbird. When test pilots tried to operate it, time itself seemed to distort. They described falling upward, seeing themselves standing outside the cockpit, and hearing voices saying, "Return what was taken." They sealed the hangar permanently. It still hums beneath the desert floor. Part 9. The Lies We Were Fed. 1969. The government announced Project Blue Book is over. UFOs are no threat. But MJ-12 didn't stop. They just went underground. New agents were embedded in every intelligence agency, tracking UAPs under code names you've never heard. Snowbird, Pounce, Sigma, Moondust. Their biggest fear? Nuclear interference. Because every time we armed a nuclear warhead, they appeared. They shut down our missiles, effortlessly, silently. Not as an attack, as a warning. You're playing with creation, one transmission read. And then, silence. Part 10. The survivor never died. In 1976, a line appears in a redacted memo. Eba's genetic sample remains viable, meaning his DNA survived, and more chillingly, it was replicated. Insiders claim hybridization experiments began under Project Aquarius subsection Bando. That the Greys aren't Eba's people, but descendants, engineered to endure Earth's gravity and radiation, which means the beings seen in modern abduction accounts aren't visitors. They're ours, our own creation, the children of a prisoner. Part 11. The Leak They Couldn't Stop. 1983. Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe was shown the Project Aquarius briefing at Kirtland Air Force Base. The officer showing it whispered, "This is the real history of Earth, but humanity isn't ready." The next day, he was reassigned. The files vanished. Her documentary was canceled, but fragments survived. And when combined with leaked TS Orcon memos, they matched, word for word, descriptions of Eba, the crafts, and the meetings. We're not talking about a theory. We're talking about classified reality. Part 12. The Frequency Returns. Fast forward to now. Modern satellites have detected electromagnetic harmonics identical to those from Eba's ship. The same signature, the same pulse. And in Utah, directly above the buried craft site, researchers recorded the ground humming at that same rhythm, as if something beneath the desert was waking up. Eba warned us not to wake the others, but the signal's already active. And if his species returns, they won't be looking for peace. They'll be looking for what we took. Because Eba wasn't our guest. He was our mirror, and mirrors remember who looked first. The whisper. Do not wake the others. Too late.